What is it?
Well, it's called Randomiser, and it's fitted to the guidance systems and operates under a very complex scientific principle called potluck. Now, no one knows where we're going. Not even the Black Guardian.
Not even us.
Hello and welcome to the Randomiser podcast. This is episode 36. I'm Tim.
And I'm Chaz.
Hello.
Hello, episode 36. Well, happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, it's November, you know.
Oh, happy Easter.
Yes. It's Bonfire Night.
Happy Bonfire Night. Yay!
So if you hear any loud bangs and pops and sort of crackles in the back of the recording, it's nothing to do with the fact we're recording on November 5th. It's entirely because we're either squiggling in our chairs or we decided to record on vinyl.
Ah, yeah.
Like in the old days.
Or it could be the fact that my bones creak a hell of a lot.
Never mind, keep pedaling so that the gramophone doesn't stop turning.
Absolutely.
All right. Welcome along. So, this episode we have lots to talk about because it's been a while. We've got spoiler warnings for all episodes of Doctor Who up to and including Power of the Doctor. We've got spoiler warnings for Tales from the TARDIS, recently released on iPlayer, and the Tomorrow People stories Into the Unknown, The Dirtiest Business, and Year of the Sex Olympics. So much to talk about with the 60th approaching. But I think the most recent and probably the most important bit of spectacular news is welcome to the Randomverse.
That is right.
The wider, full Marvel Cinematic style Randomiser podcast universe has expanded because we've started putting them on YouTube.
And Steam.
Have we?
No, you were talking about, peddling. No, I was just...
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not keeping up with you.
Pedal faster. The Randomiser podcast is now on YouTube. I've been gradually uploading the old episodes, and of course I had to make visuals for them rather than having a sensible static background. But you can find it at tinyurl.com/randomiser YouTube. Randomiser with an S, not a Z. End of episode.
That sounds made up. Tiny URL.
It's a shortener.
I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything's made up.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, part of the reason it's been so long is that I've been off making a quiz again. That made it in 2018, I think, down in Chichester, and it went to the West End. But this was a tour coming out of Chichester again. So it's the story of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire fraud with a whole new cast, including Rory Bremner playing Chris Tarrant, who was wonderful. It had a Doctor Who connection, I'm not just spaffing. I realised at one point that I was in a room with the actors who died first on screen in the 9th and 10th Doctor's eras.
Oh, bloody hell.
How niche is that? So that was Mark Benton, who's in the play, and Daniel Evans, who co-directed it. But then, one of the other members of the cast and I got chatting. He is Stefan Adegbola. He had been in Doctor Who for a very brief newsreader in a kind of moment in, I think, Magician's Apprentice. I was also a big fan, and we got chatting, and I've actually started exchanging guess the quotes as he's off on tour with the play and I'm back home. But
yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, it was really lovely to also meet a fellow fan and jabber away about stuff. The quiz was a wonderful production to work on again, and if I get this edited out in time and you're in Bromley or Bath or Canterbury, thank you memory, you'll have time to see it before the tour ends. It did come to Glasgow, which was lovely because I took a whole bunch of friends, including Chaz and Connor and Connor's fiance, so we had a whole gang of us went up and saw it and had a nice chat with the cast in the pub afterwards. Talking of quizzes, I know, in another brief digression, I don't know if people are familiar with Only Connect, the quiz on BBC Two presented by Victoria Curran Mitchell, which is fiendishly difficult. But they have a round called the Connecting Wall, where there's kind of 16 clues that resolve into 4 groups of 4. And I found a website where you can make your own. And of course, I made a Doctor Who one. So if you'd like to give it a try, that is tinyurl.com/DWOC01. So have a look at that if you fancy it. And it's quite oblique. Not all the groups are necessarily Doctor Who connections, but all the clues have a Doctor Who connection. I might make some more if I can get bored enough or rack up my brains enough. But yes, so that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing?
I was just going to say, expect by the next episode, Tim's made 700 of them. Along with AI art for each one.
There'll be like one for every episode of the classic series.
I don't normally say what I've been up to, because normally I've been up to bugger all. I went down to England a couple of weeks ago with Connor, and we attended the wedding of Lucy, who is the daughter of our dear friend Kenny Davison.
Yes.
Who sadly passed.
He was in many ways the inspiration for this podcast.
He was, actually.
If you think we talk a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jesus,
We did say that
rambled on forever.
As consolation for him not being at Lucy's wedding, at least everybody was spared the 7-hour speech he would have made.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But no,
yeah, our episodes would be at least 4 hours long if he was doing any.
I'd have to edit them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was a lovely event, and of course Kenny's very dear to our hearts, and he would have been so thrilled about all the stuff coming up in the 60th year.
Oh, God, you know, I can't imagine anybody more excited than Kenny. One, he loved RTD, he loved Donna and David Tennant. He would have been beside himself. He would have been so happy. He really would.
So we've got loads to talk about. Let's start with the upcoming specials. We've got the release dates of 25th November, 2nd December, 9th. So over 3 weeks. And then it has been confirmed officially now that Neil Patrick Harris is playing the Toymaker.
Yay.
They're very sensibly dropping the Celestial part.
The thing is, about these specials, there was a little bit of tete-a-tete controversy as well.
Tete-a-tete?
Tete-a-tete controversy.
There was tenant-a-tete.
Ah, very good. Jesus, this is going to be a long one. So, yeah, a lot of people were a bit surprised that they were, like, all one in November and then the rest spreading out into December. They were kind of thinking they were all going to be in November. I can understand that, but I think this is probably the best way to go, because when you think about it, 2nd of December, 9th of December, and you've got, 2 weeks?
Yep.
And then Christmas episode.
Because the 23rd itself is midweek. It's a Thursday, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's understandable you wouldn't necessarily want to put your kind of flagship show on that day when a lot of people might not be watching telly and stick it to the weekend. But we are getting the recoloured Daleks, right?
We are. Now back on the small screen in colour.
Yeah, that sounds like a poster you should
It does. Yeah.
No, that's exciting. And you'd really cleverly spotted a bit of it in the logo for the next topic on our list, which is the Whoniverse.
Yeah, 75 minutes in colour with new effects and some new scenes.
So we might get Barnes coming.
It's either going to be model shots, you know, like the Dalek City.
They could just call that new effects, though, rather than new scenes.
Possibly. Or could be Memory TARDIS, Carl Ann Ford and David Bradley.
Oh, okay.
So, honestly, I am beyond excited for this because I am a really, really big Hartnell fan. To see this reimagined in that way is very exciting. Years ago, I would have called colorization of black and white stories or films a bastardization. I think I've come a long way, but I am talking about the colorization of Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, which looks fucking awful. Technology has moved on a lot.
Well, dare I say that we've moved on a lot as well.
Very true.
It does lead us on to the fate of Unearthly Child, and the reason we might wish for a Barnes common scene in the recoloured Daleks. Because, I mean, the new title for that story has to be Revenge of the Baby Man.
No, it's got to be an ungrateful child.
So for anybody who doesn't know, well done for staying in that cave. Steph Coburn, the son of Anthony Coburn, who wrote Tribe of Gum, whatever you want to call it, he's an interesting character, posted some absolutely awful stuff on Twitter, seems to think that a picture of Ncuti and Jazz Monsoon with talk of this being BBC filth and corruption, this would have his father spinning in the grave, and he seems to think that's supposed to make us think less of the show rather than think less of him and his father.
Hey.
Dramatic underscoring from the fireworks there, thank you.
I wouldn't say interesting character, I'd call him a fucking Nazi racist.
Well, there's lots of films about them, so they must be interesting to some
There really
extent.
is.
No, I mean, it just seems like a nasty piece of work. Because his father genuinely owned the rights to the first story, he is refusing the BBC's offer to put it onto iPlayer. This has meant that anybody coming to the old series for the first time, they can't see the wonderful first episode of the show and the slightly less wonderful but still important next 3 episodes, where we have the first proper adventure, lines like "Fear makes companions of us all," and where we have the establishment of Ian, Barbara and Susan and the Doctor. But the recolouring of the Daleks, and if there are new scenes that have any kind of that's what it needs, I think, is context. If you're going to come into that as the first episode, as a new fan not knowing the old show, I think that would be prime territory now to sort of add a bit of context. But yes, so apart from that, apart from this terrible conspiracist who's just, I don't know, he's doing all that he can to spoil his father's legacy.
But he's kind of shot himself in the foot.
That's what I mean.
Brilliantly, because he apparently is in desperate need of money, so he's buckered this up, because really now, to him, he was thinking, well, the value sort of raises around about the anniversary, because on the 50th, he tried to sue the BBC for the use of TARDIS. He claims that his father made up TARDIS. So, and he's still pouting that sort of
I'm not sure
nonsense.
that is what he claims. I think it's about the expansion of the acronym into time and relative dimension and space.
That's what I meant, the word, not the
what you said was made up
concept.
target.
All right.
Yeah. I've got to be clear about this. I mean, I don't want to it's so easy to just fall into attributing stuff that's not actually out there. Talking about revenge against the BBC. And all of this stuff. This is covered much more coherently in other places than us. And also, if I can stick a quick plug in for a podcast, Skeptics With A K, which is a skeptical podcast, but one of the hosts, Mike Hall, is a huge Doctor Who fan and explains this all very clearly and very calmly in a better way than I have the articulacy to do.
There is one more little thing I would like to say. He has stated categorically that he has left the rights to an enemy of the BBC in his will. Russia. I swear to fuck. Vladimir Putin will be telling everybody to withdraw their support for Ukraine, otherwise he won't let us see an unearthly child.
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
It's fucking mad. Yes, it's a shame. But everybody can see an unearthly child in one way or another. So tell him to go fuck himself, and that's it.
Now we've seen the Whoniverse, it's all just serving to bury his father's legacy rather than preserve it. Yeah. And I don't know if Anthony Coburn was a racist or queerphobe or whatever it is that Steph is. And I don't know if Anthony Coburn would have hated the series as it's being made now, whatever. But it does seem plausible that a writer would be somewhat sad that his crucial first story was being held back from its rightful place as an iconic and groundbreaking bit of television. So I hope Unearthly Child comes back into the fold. But meanwhile, all the small-minded nastiness and money-grubbing of Coburn is just serving to make it invisible.
Absolutely. And Boris Hussein is furious about it.
We've joked in the past about candidates in the show's history for new missing episodes. But this is a sad way for that to come about. But it lives on in our DVD collections if we can ever be bothered to get out of the box.
I mean, that, obviously it's upset a lot of people, but it's not as if it's disappeared.
No.
It is available. The DVDs are still available to buy, which is ironic because it's driven people to buy the DVDs more, and the BBC are the ones who receive all the profits from it. So, I mean, you couldn't make this fucking situation up. A certain northern music producer is rather pissed off.
What, Bez?
Look, if you want to find out what's happening with the Ian Levine situation, just sort of go and have a look at his Facebook. He's talking about contacting the sister of Anthony Colburn, which is a fucking terrible idea.
Let's harass an old lady.
Yeah, exactly. You live some 70-year-old woman open the door and about 30 Doctor Who fans in scarves start shouting at her. I mean, for fuck's sake, get a grip.
So all of this was a sad sort of twist in the glorious tale of the return to iPlayer of all of the old series, or pretty much all. So I watched The Dead Planet, and I tried to imagine that I didn't know about the missing first story, which it's Unearthly Child's such a marvellous episode of TV that it's a shame, but coming in cold to Dead Planet was quite disorienting. You get that Ian and Barbara want to go home, and they push their way into the ship, but you don't really get why or where they came from, or that they were Susan's teachers or anything like that. There's none of the magic of the TARDIS reveal, because you go from inside it to outside, rather than outside to in, which is a shame. So that would be a good scene to somehow contrive. Yeah. But this is why I'm talking about Barnes Common, because
absolutely, it's perfect.
For anyone who doesn't know the reference, when the Daleks was first written as a novelisation by David Whitaker, he kind of set it in its own continuity rather than reference Unearthly Child or anything like that, and had Ian meet who was it, Barbara, broken down on Barnes Common, and there was the police box. Oh god, it's been years since I've read it. But no, so the book had its own self-contained starting scene which introduced the characters in a slightly different way before leading into the Dalek story.
And it's a sort of nice shorthand.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. So, but yeah, the iPlayer stuff's glorious to have, and I've been dipping in and out, and watching bits here and there. Just, I was sort of, the benefit of being a Doctor Who fan and an insomniac was that I could sort of see it all land on the night in question.
See?
Yeah, no, because we'd compared notes, wasn't it? And at first it was up to season 9, and then it was up to season 11.
It was honestly, I think it's the closest I've ever felt to that waiting for Christmas morning moment.
It was like listening to Santa drop.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. And then, like, when it sort of all, had dropped properly and they got all the links and everything sorted, and you had that big Whoniverse and all the other shows. And even the next day they were fixing a few things, like Reign of Terror. They'd missed out the first episode.
Right.
There's more to come, because totally Doctor Who is going to be uploaded, and an adventure in time and space and time.
Oh, good.
But I think that will get repeated on the 23rd and then get uploaded. It would kind of make some sense, really.
Oh, yes.
So they might even show it before the Daleks, that way you've got your introduction. I find it particularly great because they have subtitled, sign language and audio description on every single episode, and on the new series, audio description was only available from the 11th hour onwards, but they have now made subtitles, audio description and sign language available on all of New Who 2. So yeah, as many of you probably know, my eyesight's failing, so I use audio description on most things now, and this is particularly brilliant because now I get to enjoy Who properly. And also the other thing is that the BBC iPlayer user interface is so much better than ITVX and BritBox.
I was rather taken aback when you hired an audio describer to describe what I do whenever I come round to see you. So the one thing I do think we need, and they don't have as far as I know, is any sort of linking narration or contextualization for the gaps in the show. Even captions, even a bit of text on the iPlayer interface to say,
about the orphaned episodes.
Or anything where it's suddenly there's a story missing or something like that.
BBC Sounds are having the stories that are missing, etc., uploaded there. And
we can introduce a whole new generation to the wonders of telesnaps.
Exactly. There is talk of a hell of a lot more things coming to iPlayer, like possibly TARDIS, mini episodes, maybe even some of the DVD extras, documentaries.
And presumably that's where Unleashed will go, which is... Unleashed is the new Confidential.
Yeah, because we got Confidential, so Unleashed will be there.
I didn't watch all the Confidentials. I think I watched most of the ones on the original DVD box set, the kind of TARDIS-shaped one, season one. Season one.
They were all cut down.
Were they? On iPlayer or on the DVD?
DVD.
Oh, okay, so there's more that I haven't seen. I've watched a bunch up to about Dalek, I think.
When they dropped Confidential, I watched Series 2, Episode 10.
Right.
Because that's my favourite Confidential ever. It's called Do You Remember the First Time?
All right.
And it's David Tennant talking with Phil Collinson, Stephen Moffat, Russell T Davies about being fans and remembering when they were kids and what attracted them to Doctor Who. It's the first time we really delve in to classic Who.
Also on the Whoniverse on iPlayer is the new thing that Russell T Davies had talked about. He talked about 6 little special things, and these turned out to be tales from the TARDIS. So spoilers for these if you haven't seen them already. They're essentially bracketing material for a kind of new version of the 5 Faces of Doctor Who, right?
Absolutely.
So you've got an old
6.
story surrounded by scenes set in what they call the memory TARDIS, which seems to be like a bit of all the TARDISes bundled into one thing, and featuring basically representative companions or doctors from the era of the story that they're framing. So what did you make of these?
I thought they were really sweet, to be honest. It sort of felt weird when I heard the concept, but once I saw it and realised what they were attempting to do, it was genuinely sweet, and I kind of liked, because you had every Doctor that appeared was obviously not de-aged or anything like that. They were how they are now, and the explanation, like Sylvester says, sometimes I've regenerated, sometimes I just go on.
Sort of alternative universes.
Yeah, it was rather lovely, and it also was nice to see, especially with Tegan and 5 and Ace and 7, sort of. I know some of that was addressed in Power of the Doctor, but it was like they kind of went into it more about the sort of trauma, that had happened and so on, and it sort of felt, it felt like really sort of rounding it up a little. But my favourite, and it was difficult to choose, but I think honestly my favourite is Joe Grant and Clyde Langer from Sarah Jane, who they had met obviously in the Sarah Jane episode Death of the Doctor,
which is one I haven't seen yet, actually.
Yeah, well, I won't give any spoilers for it.
It's about the Doctor dies.
Oh damn! But
that's not your fault.
But it was so lovely seeing these two characters talk about shared experiences, and Jo talking about her late husband and so on. It just had such a warm, glowy feeling for all of them. Stephen and Vicky with the Time Meddler was absolutely charming, especially just at the end. Vicky really wanted to see the Doctor again, and then you just get this shot of her eyes widening, and then you hear the considering like the actors are all obviously getting on a bit for a 60th, I think, other than what Chibnall had come up with the Guardians of the Edge, which was quite a clever, way of doing it.
Who looks after Bono?
And the clever way that Chibnall had integrated them in the Guardians of the Edge, but you wouldn't really have been able to do them in the 60th in any sort of, proper way, with them being the age they are, etc. So this worked a lot better for giving them an actual voice in the 60th.
Now, I'm going to break your heart twice in this episode of the podcast. This is the first time.
Oh, I know you don't like them.
I found them really hooky. I think they were sweet and they were a treat, and I'm looking a gift horse in the mouth. So, I didn't have... I think part of it was how they were teased, because it wasn't clearly explained that they were bracketing material the way they were. I think if I'd known that going into it, I would have appreciated them more for what they were. Whereas for the entirety of the first one I watched, which was the Earthshock one, I was like, are they going to break into the story? Are they going to interject in the middle of the actual show? So again, it's maybe my fault for not spoilering myself up, but that was a kind of a misstep for me at first, was that these were essentially terribly sweet but terribly kind of unsubstantial and fluffy little scenes that bracketed these old stories. And I think that's perfectly fine, but there's a few sort of things that sort of were odd about them. It was nice to see the actors. The memory TARDIS is fun, if cramped. But I'm not quite sure who these are for, because the framing device for the old episodes is nice, but who the hell are these old people, says the new fan. And for us old fans, we already know and love the old episodes within the framing. So, like all Doctor Who, I'd rather have it than not, but I'm not moved by it.
I kind of don't understand it, because one, I think it was, I can't remember where, it was definitely like a press release of some sort saying that they were, top and tail or something, but I can't remember exactly, so
No, it was never that explicit in any of the stuff I read. It's
Fair
kind
enough.
of there after the fact if you look for it again.
Okay. But the thing about Who Are They For? Well, old fans will like it in terms of seeing the characters again. New fans, or new Who fans, or new Who fans, whatever, are going to be able to maybe watch the episode but have at least a bit of explanation for it. And as for it being hokey, let's be honest, I mean, New Who is very sentimental, and Old Who maybe wasn't as sentimental, but because we're looking back, we're kind of doing a bit of a rose-tinted nostalgia.
No, are we ever?
Look at Power of the Doctor with the old Doctors and so on. I mean, it was there as a fan set, obviously.
Like I say, I'm not moved, and I will never see these words again, but I think Chibnall did it better, only in the sense that it was in the dramatic context, and it was much more energetic and fun when it happened in the middle of Power of the Doctor, rather than being just kind of a schmaltz cutaway. So, I don't hate them by any means at all. I'm just like, they're cute, they're fun, they're light, they're fluffy, they're an anniversary treat, and I treasure all of that. I just think it was kind of just saccharine. And I do love these characters. It's lovely to see them together again, but I wish they'd been given something a bit more substantial, or just I don't know, a bit more chewy. Lots of things I liked. I liked the closure aspect. That's fun, but let's never accuse Moffat of being the one obsessed with loose ends in future. I liked the mini Jodie console as the campfire around which they told the stories. That was very cute.
I like the fact that Nyssa and Tegan are a couple.
Yes, that was good.
Or could it be that she said goodnight to Nyssa, her cat?
Could be either.
Well.
But I enjoyed the Sophie and Sylvester one the most, probably, as they were my kind of main era. So, that's the kind of iPlayer stuff. There's also a documentary on Delia Derbyshire, which I wasn't aware of, that's on there as well.
That's an old one.
Yeah, but it's on there.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
And also the second, hopefully last time I'll break your heart this episode, is the new theme, which was debuted in the orchestral form in a kind of concert released on BBC Sounds, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yes, as you might infer from my lead into that, I don't like it much.
I knew you wouldn't like it.
Well, it's more Murray Gold.
Exactly. So, if Murray Gold could have done the greatest theme ever, and you would have said
I wouldn't,
it was shit.
Because
yes, you would.
He is just doing more of the same with extra twiddly bits, and that's really fucking disappointing. Assuming that what we heard was as it'll be on the show itself.
Apparently it's a bit different. I have heard that.
Good.
But it's not going to be different.
I'm just fed up of it. We've had years of it, and he's such... we were worried not for long about RTD being a backward step. I think this is. Because I think Gold is overblown. His music's fantastic, but in the mix, it's far too front and centre, far too often. We've said this before.
I knew we would disagree. I mean, that was an obvious. So.
I'm just sad that it's Gold again, because, and we all know why. We've been over it and over it.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll be friendly now, I promise.
Okay. Who kiss first?
Yeah, okay.
A man is the sum of his memories, a Time Lord even more so.
So it's the part of the show called Your Cheating Memory, where we have randomly selected an old episode of Doctor Who and gone away and rewatched it. And we sort of hit a trilogy this time. We came up with A Lie of the Land, I think, which is the last one of the Monks Trilogy.
Yeah, which would be a bit pointless.
Yes, we had to sort of go and watch it all. And that accounts for at least a month of the gap in recording.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I'm going to lead off on this one and then I'll let you plough in. So, basically, I don't have much to say about it except I enjoyed watching them. I think Doctor Who is a sitcom writer's dream, and of course Moffat being a sitcom writer. Yeah. But where else could you interrupt a date with the actual Pope walking in? How I Met Your Mother Superior? But why don't the translation circuits translate the Pope? You pointed that out, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a bit fucking weird.
Because... I think, and I'm realising this, in Doctor Who, the rules of comedy supersede any other rules of the programme.
Absolutely.
And I think that would have been, the TARDIS has a sense of comedy. It's canon now.
No, I can go with that, actually. I think that's quite fun.
And
Yeah.
then the only other things I really noted down were that the monks pull a bit of a bait and switch with their consent must be pure thing. They're like, yeah, sign on the dotted line. Oh, by the way, was that a pure signature? Oh, it's not? Oh, well, zap. Sorry. It's like small print.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the third episode, it's sort of oddly like a comedy heist in terms of tone. You know, sneaking into the pyramid, all of that.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one tonally overall, I think, in terms of that balance. I think mostly the first episode's a kind of bubble episode with the simulation
augmented reality, virtual whatever. Yeah, I thought that was quite good. I liked the bits at CERN and stuff. You know, that whole thing about
that was the
Veritas.
darkest of it, actually.
Yeah, the Veritas stuff was
quite disturbing.
Very, very good.
I don't know if I quite buy that truth would inevitably reduce everybody to a suicidal mess, you know? I mean, they obviously had a big party at CERN first, but what the fuck? Keep partying, man. There's nothing to lose. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just more mentally geared up for living in the Matrix.
I suppose it's the psychological impact of finding out that you don't exist.
Again, perhaps it's part of the reason I've never kind of had any truck with this idea that life must have a meaning. I mean, so what if it doesn't? It's just enjoy it. You know, do nice things to people. It's not.
Or do nasty things if that's what you enjoy.
You know, be good. Make it pleasurable for people. It's
look. I agree. I'm just.
I'd never, and maybe it's me, but I've never found it convincing, this idea that you need some sort of purpose.
I think that's possibly to do with mental state of being. Some people need something to believe in. It can be used as an emotional crutch.
You can't handle the truth.
I mean, look. Well, obviously, religion. Plenty of people believe, or they need something to believe in, because if you were to take that religion away from them, they would do something else. They would invent something else.
It's a very limiting and patronising view of humanity.
I think it's true, though, because
I don't think it has to be. I think we tell ourselves it is continually.
Yeah, you may think that. I couldn't possibly comment. But, no, I mean, you only need to look at humanity. Look how many people are fucking entrenched in religion.
Fucking in trenches.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the First World War was a cesspit. My God, there was
non-stop orgy.
More cum flying than bullets.
Never accuse me of lowering the tone again.
You started it.
With panache.
Oh, I really hope you keep that.
You finished it with gentleman's relish.
Yeah, exactly. Something for the weekend, as it were.
Yeah, the Somme weekend.
See? Yeah.
The last minute of this conversation is like...
Well, this is
the podcast.
Hey, folks, this is our IP.
Yep, sorry.
We are the Randomiser, so,
do you mean USP? Our IP is 192. Is your motorcycle working?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
That has got to be the most random minute of the Randomiser in quite a long time.
I do hope that either gets kept in the episode or left for the funny little bit at the end of the news.
At the end of the news? Oh, you mean like after the credits? No, I see. Like, well, if there's nothing about pandas fucking, we'll put that in.
Okay, well, we've just mentioned 2 pandas fucking.
Have we?
Have we?
No, it was World War One.
No. Yeah.
No pandas in the trenches.
No, I want that to be the episode title.
2 pandas
More
fucking.
cum flying than bullets.
Yeah, and while you're wishing, have a pony.
You're such a coward.
No, it's called taste.
No, it's called coward.
I don't want the taste of your... No.
Yeah, right. Okay.
What did you think of the Monks Trilogy, Jeff?
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, I really enjoyed it in general. I thought it was a lot of good fun. I thought the last episode, there was some nice little bits, you know, with the whole... memory police and so on, and you know, this signal obviously being broadcast, and that intro was rather good, with the Doctor saying the monks have been here for you know.
Again, the comedy sort of notes that take over. It's a nice build up to when they finally all the kind of soldiers laughing with the Doctor when he says, "Well done, Bill, you passed the test."
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of.
and I like the the lab assistant that the Doctor
The
teamed
hungover?
up with.
Oh, the
Yeah.
the one who caused it all, basically.
Yeah, no, it was the
Well,
one.
it's a combination.
Well, no, it was the guy that was
She put her
hungover.
glasses in her bag. And
Yeah,
her glasses got broken.
Well, that's not her fault. It was his fault for
And then
having the
he's
hangover.
coming into work with a hangover.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
at no point does either of them say maybe we shouldn't conduct a sensitive experiment when neither of us are firing on all
Whatever.
cylinders.
But no, she was great, and the only thing that fell down for me on that one was the Doctor couldn't get through the door because it was a digital keypad and he couldn't see the keys. He's got a video phone on him. All he has to do is show Bill.
Get a mirror for fuck's
You
sake.
know, and usually you would find that keys are in sequential order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
They were
6.
like rotary dials or something. Really. I
Oh,
don't know.
even
Maybe you can
so,
see the reset.
Bill could have, you know.
Oh, it's incredibly contrived.
Yeah.
Like in many times in the show's history, it just charms its way through.
I
the
mean,
kinda
yeah,
huge
that's
plot holes.
that's a minor sort of thing, because those sort of things, if you pointed those elements out in any Doctor Who story, it would fall apart. So
That's half of our plan for
Yeah.
most of the stories.
exactly.
Oh well. Okay, well, let's fire up the randomizer and choose another episode.
Look, when I give the word, press the button. The big one? Yes, maybe it works in conjunction with the others.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
You braced? Here it goes.
I'm holding on to my hat.
Okay, that's not your hat.
Oh.
All right, well, let's try and find out. Now, what could it be?
Oh, Black Orchid.
Oh,
Nice and short.
2 episodes. Brilliant.
First thing to say, classic. Peter Davison.
No, I do like that.
The
Actually.
last historical, isn't it?
Well, Rosa. Oh, you mean of the classic series?
Well, Rosa's got a sci-fi element, even though you deplore it.
Yeah, I did.
But no, historical is defined by
the last purely historical.
having no other sci-fi element than the TARDIS and its contents. Yeah. Yeah, well, there we
But
go.
yeah, Dave's nice, and you know,
Yeah,
Nessa and
Adric.
Tegan and Adric's in it.
I'm looking forward to watching this again since I listened to Flight Through Entirety talk about it. It's the moment where Tegan suddenly got drunk and loosened up.
Yeah.
But no, all that stuff at the party was quite good fun. And so,
I don't know why Nissa wasn't allowed to drink. I know why Adric wasn't allowed to drink. He'd probably be throwing up behind the TARDIS afterwards.
Yeah. What happened to imaginary vomit in an imaginary bush in Castrovalva? Lovely.
Just
well-
a void with a pile of vomit.
Okay, so we will watch Black Orchid and let you know what we thought. While we've got the randomizer warmed up, it's taken me quite a lot of rubbing.
Your report? We found and destroyed the enemy.
Any complications?
No complications.
So No Complications, rather than being a choice for our watch faces, is in fact an homage to the wonderful moment in Day of the Daleks, which they've got the wrong version of on the iPlayer, you tell me.
Yes.
Where the Ogron
Bastards.
suddenly becomes much more articulate than previously.
Yeah.
So we will press the randomizer a few times and just quickly say something that we find joy in that particular story. Here we go. Planet of Evil.
An entire planet on a studio floor.
Forbidden Planet.
And it actually looks great.
I love the monster effect.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah.
Sarah Jane, Tom. Brilliant.
I've not seen it a lot actually, but
No,
it's,
but funny enough, it's now on BBC iPlayer.
Really? I
And
should watch
I'm
that. Yeah.
considering watching it.
Okay. Well, I'm tempted to start another whole watch.
Oh, God.
Well, we need the corridors section back
Well,
again.
actually, that's what
I've got to fill in the gaps.
We could do that and just do the whole thing, us two.
Oh my God,
And
can
we'd
you imagine?
have to sort of stick to it. But that would mean that we no longer do random
I'm
stories.
not going to live that long. No, because when we started the podcast, I was somewhere in the middle of Tom Baker's era
Yeah.
in my rewatch. So all of my wonderfully profound thoughts on the seasons before that.
It's all been lost. now,
Yeah, lost to the
hasn't
mist
it?
of time.
Because,
Or the
you
mist
know,
of time,
your
anyway.
memory is cheating.
That's a different section. I keep trying to explain this. Okay, let's do another. Flux Chapter 4, Village of the Angels. Literally just rewatched that, actually. It's a corker.
I meant to watch the Halloween Apocalypse the other week.
Oh, we
but
watched-
I kind of just got
My kid and I
sidetracked.
watched this and Blink for Halloween as 2 Angel episodes.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that the Sontaran episode and Villa Diodorate.
We're talking about Village of the Angels.
No, I'm just contextualised.
Oh, okay.
These
are all part of the television programme called Doctor Who.
They are, yeah. Those three are my favourite episodes of Jodie's era.
Gotcha.
This is another
Maxine Alderton?
That's it.
Yeah.
Another Maxine Alderton episode, and it's
great.
Absolutely
No,
brilliant. I
Jericho,
really like that one.
The cliffhanger is the standout. Just such good fun.
It is genuinely, I think, one of the best cliffhangers in Doctor Who. It really, really is.
I was and continued to be
Yeah.
very impressed by all the ways the angel appears in that episode in terms of the paper drawing and the burning of the
Absolutely. And I loved in the next episode that the angel, the voice of the angel was Jodie.
Yes, it's your own voice. When
Yeah,
it's
it's rather-
we had Jericho point that out in that episode.
Yeah. Obviously, all Maxine Alderton's brilliant stuff. The shit parts were Chibnall, obviously. I had to get that in.
If anybody wants the dictionary definition of confirmation bias,
No, that is a fact.
I'd call it complication bias.
That is a fact that the shit bits were Chibnall.
Okay, another. The Happiness Patrol.
Oh, it makes me happy.
Pink TARDIS.
Pink TARDIS, which reappeared recently for promotion of the Barbie movie.
Oh,
the
yes.
BBC had the TARDIS done not
Brilliant.
as pink. My favourite bit of that entire episode, though, is the balcony scene,
Yes, it's
which
great.
is absolutely. It's a sort of. It's very, very good, but it's a slight darker version of the one from Dragonfire.
Romeo and Juliet. Oh, right, yes.
Where,
the
you know,
philosophy with the guards.
which is hilarious, the bit in Dragonfire, but this is quite dark.
It's
and
McCoy's finest scene,
wonderful.
dramatically. I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another. Voyage of the Damned.
Oh,
I mean, Kylie.
Kylie!
It's like,
Jesus Christ, we are men.
Cribbins.
Cribbins, yeah. First appearance in the TV show.
Are
Doctor
we
Who.
men, did you say?
Well, I was going to say we're men in our 50s. Kylie.
Just a special person.
Yeah, I mean, think about, men behaving badly. His entire premise
What was that?
was beer and Kylie.
Beer and Kylie.
Two men sort of obsessed with Kylie and beer.
Well, there's a link now with Martin Clunes having been in Doctor Who and what every
see.
other one's called. What's the other one called?
What?
He was in the next Doctor.
Oh, that wasn't Neil Morrissey. That was
he was-
David Morrissey.
Oh, right, yes. This is his less talented brother. Yeah. Has Neil Morrissey never been Doctor Who then?
No.
God, I'm turning into you. Okay. It's not quite a celebrity misnaming, but it's close. I haven't had one of them for a while. I had to make it
Yeah,
up somehow.
I'm on better tablets now.
Tell me your dealer.
I've just saved that. I've just said that, and now I'm going to fuck up something. Let's be
You're
honest.
just hoping. It's like half the fun of this damn podcast.
I anticipate a challenge!
It is challenge time. So I've asked Chaz to watch The Mutants, which is the Doctor Who story that he's never been able to sit through. And of course, now it's on iPlayer. There's absolutely no barrier to you watching it. What's this?
Well, I've got to hand you this to read out, I'm afraid.
My client, Charles Octoloni, is in the middle of a legal dispute with another party over fair use and viewing rights of the television property Doctor Who The Mutants. I've advised my client of said legal blah 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 blah. He's to refrain watching. Any further statements can only be made using the voice of an actor until a ruling decision can be made. As a result of this, my client has employed an actor friend to blah blah blah. So hang on, we've got to get the voice of an actor for you to review The Mutants.
Yeah.
When you come round, if you have a blood monitor and test strips, could I use it to check my level?
Okay, we don't need to read out any more of my text.
Baby, this is Big Boy here. I shouldn't read all these messages, right?
No.
In my box are such delights.
It is Box of Delights, where we've randomly selected an old bit of TV or something to rewatch, and we selected another Nigel Neal classic, which I was strangely befuddled that there weren't any attractive mollusks in this, because we selected The Year of the Sexy Limpets. No?
No.
No. The Year of the Sex Olympics, which Nigel Neal does 1984, basically.
Which he'd previously done anyway.
Yes, exactly. And clearly thought he had to have another crack with his own inflection on it. So rather than rule with monotony and brutality, this society is ruled by keeping them entertained and therefore disinterested in overthrowing the leaders. So people are being suppressed basically by allowing them to vicariously live out anything that would be difficult through the TV. So sex, to stop the masses reproducing. We have the sports sex channel and the Sex Olympics itself. So violence, they sort of, they watch that rather than living it out or rising up against anything. And strangely enough, food fights seem to be another thing that they have to repress.
Maybe that discourages
food waste.
Obesity.
Yeah, could be rationing.
Whatever.
You don't have to waste food if you've seen two middle-aged men throwing it at each other.
Put you off eating.
It's an odd fish, the show. But it's very relevant, of course, and that's scary. It starts with the phrase "sooner than you think," but we've been living it for years now.
Yeah.
Partygate is viewed as entertainment and not a spur to actually change anything that we'll vote for. And it's very much two halves. You've got the studio-bound first act where it lays out that world, and then the protagonists sort of end up on location in the Isle of Man, I believe, for a kind of...
I think it might have been.
Yeah, sort of a survival horror ending.
Yeah, well, basically the two characters that have a child, it's a sort of complicated situation because the child is considered by the standards of that society to be sort of slow.
We're divided into high drive and low drive, is that right?
And so that
Not
child is that child is sort of looked after in I suppose a care facility.
I think all children are, is that right?
It seems that no one has contact
There's
or
no
very
nuclear
little
family.
contact with your family.
Yeah.
So, but these two people are kind of sick of society and kind of want to, they actually love their child and they see an opportunity to escape that society by suggesting this reality show where they're alone on an island and basically cameras can more or less follow their lives day to day.
So far-fetched.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine anybody coming up with that one.
Hello, Mark Burnett. The spur to it is also another sort of man who's disaffected with the society but wants to paint, and everything's moving image. So this idea of a still image is completely alien to them.
Yeah,
and he paints these kind of slightly hokey, tortured faces.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Scream and stuff like that.
But it's expressionist art, or art that expresses his dissatisfaction and his fear. But this is absolutely terrifying to the pampered members of the elite. So it's it doesn't quite pull that off. I think maybe because it's a bit too much of a gulf.
I suppose, but he is determined to show these images to the mass population.
Yeah, so crashes the sex.
Sex program. He does, but he in the process he falls off a sort of one of the towers, and he obviously dies on the floor with blood.
Obviously.
Everybody starts laughing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because they have no empathy for the human condition. They have no empathy for the suffering of another.
Yeah.
But it's entertainment to them.
Yeah, I mean, this
and
shock
that is the real big shock of the whole thing.
So a lot of the kind of, I suppose, the thesis of the show is laid out through conversations between the main character and Leonard Ruster's character, who's kind of like his boss. And Ruster's character is old enough to remember the old days and has the vocabulary that describe these emotions that there aren't words for anymore, and that's straight out of Orwell as well.
Oh yeah,
Newspeak and so on. And it's interesting seeing Ruster play a more dramatic role, because I've obviously known him from Reggie Perrin and comic stuff. But weirdly, this is such a weird choice. They've put L'Epitome on the DVD as an extra, which is Rossiter's little biopic of the French performer who basically farted as a musical actor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, very comedy, obviously, but it's a strange little extra.
I do love Ruster, actually. I've not seen him in a lot of sort of straight drama, but I think he's actually underrated a lot.
Oh, yeah,
he's
a great actor.
As an actual actor. I
never really watched Rising Damp, but people talk highly of it. Again, comedy though.
Yeah, no, he.
Anything else you can think of that he's done?
Well, Reggie Perrin, obviously, which I can't think offhand. Britannia Hospital, I know he was in that.
Right.
That was still a bit of a farce, but it was a satire more, you know.
Yeah.
But
no, great. He's a great performer and really good in this. And everybody's good in their way. I did not recognise at all. I suppose he's the antagonist of the main characters.
Yeah.
He's got the great character name Laser Opie, but he's the kind of young pretender who takes over when the main guy. I can't remember the character's name. What's his name? Sorry. Here we go. Senior moment. Yeah. But no, he sort of steps into the shoes and hooks up with the same girlfriend, and he's basically in the kind of prime position that our main character was in when he decides to chuck it all in after the death of the artist and goes off to this island with his ex and their kid. Yeah. And they want to start this thing called a family. But no, that was Brian Cox, who's this young pretender who I did not recognise at all.
You know, from D-Ream to this.
He must have been about like negative 15 or 20 when it was.
Obviously, Brian Cox, the guy who's in Succession now.
Yeah, again, an interesting parallel. But
absolutely.
I don't think we should spoil too much because it's well worth watching. I think it's actually a pretty important piece of television history, and
absolutely.
You know that coming off the back of Quiz, one of the sort of themes in that is the foundation of reality television, because there are scenes where Paul Smith, who created Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, meets up with John DeMol and Mark Burnett, who created Big Brother and Survivor. But Mark Burnett also started Trump's career, if you like, or at least started him as a TV personality with The Apprentice. So there's definitely a line from the kind of our entertainments through to bigger themes in the world that this is talking about. I kind of feel like the title is a bit of a bait and switch, because it's not really about the sort of sexual stuff. You know, the Sex Olympics is just a nicely shocking hook into this description of a society where the kind of people are living stuff out vicariously through their TVs.
But it's also telling of the reaction, because people that heard the title and immediately were complaining, like Mary Whitehouse.
It just betrays the absolute shallowness of their arguments.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fairly sympathetic kind of to their
I
problem.
kind of get a feeling that, you know, there was a little bit of mischief there to
it's clickbait. Not her specifically, surely.
Because the controller of BBC absolutely fucking hated her.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
And he really did everything. They actually made a comedy that a character definitely based on her was put in. He deliberately insisted on this. If you ever watched Filth, the Mary Whitehouse story, it's absolutely brilliant. But
is that the one with James McAvoy's corrupt cop? I don't remember her being in that.
Julie Walters and Hugh Bonneville.
Right. Very much Game of Two Halves with the sort of different tone in the second half. But then we've got the kind of viewers at home, and the constant presence of the audience, I think, was where the limitations showed. You've got a few clusters of people. You know, it's a very empty sort of frame. It doesn't look like masses in any kind of meaningful way.
I mean, if we were doing it now,
I just think you could have directed that better.
I think, you know...
I think you know, unless, you know, it's like TV focus groups have a lot more power than they used to, but it's just clearly just a handful of people, and also their performances were so basic. It's clunky. It doesn't support the thesis of the show.
Maybe not, but you know, you only need to look at television of the time to see that there wasn't a massive amount of innovation in terms of direction or the way things, you know, were acted or portrayed. I mean, I'd say it's definitely better than most.
Wow.
You know,
this was the late 60s and filmed it and broadcast in colour, but then the colour version was lost and wiped, of course, like so much was. But the black and white recovery means
survives.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably not big enough or popular enough for colorization, but from the photos that exist, it looks like it was, you know, very colourful, especially the costumes and so on.
Yeah, because there was
kind of gold makeup on people's faces and stuff. So I think there's a whole kind of element to the two worlds of the show that's missing because of the lack of colour.
Yeah, something I just thought of, actually, you were saying about the colourfulness and the makeups. If you watch The Hunger Games, the people that are doing the TV show,
There's a lot
they're
of-
all very,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm wondering if there was any
Sort of reference
crossover
there.
influences.
I'm sure
there.
much of that's in the book, but there's also that kind of decadent sort of, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know my history well enough to get the period right, but that period of you know, big wigs and
Oh yeah,
super
yeah,
elaborate
yeah. It's
costumes.
very much Regency sort
that
of
it?
period.
Yeah. The but so maybe those are the common reference for the two in
Yeah,
terms of having an
probably.
elite who
Yeah.
it's let them eat cake, isn't it?
Well, the food fights.
Yes.
You know, things like that. You know, there's a lot of.
I think my favourite little detail was
type
the
of
chess
thing.
machine. 'Cause
Yeah.
it just plays
You
chess.
watch it
play
play
chess. You
chess.
don't do anything.
Mark Gatiss said that Nigel Neal should be on the epilogue. I mean, for viewers that don't know what that was, it was basically at the end of the evening they used to close down, but they would have, usually in Scotland it was called late call, where you would have some priest talking about how God was wonderful and we should all be fucking grateful or something. And England, they had, yeah,
infamous sweaty
they had the epilogue. So, but he said Nigel Neal should be there going, "I told you so," which you can't really, you know, you can't really argue with. I mean, I'm now going back to rewatch Kinbig because obviously I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
And-
we must have missed the
Yeah.
profound prophetic nature of
And
it.
Tim has agreed to watch it as well.
You know, you heard it here first, as did I. Six Olympics is sort of prescient in many ways, although it's quite tame compared to some of the depths that we've gone to.
Absolutely.
But yeah, anything else you want to say about that? It's a great piece.
It is actually. I mean, it's so good, and I just think so many people should really watch it.
I think if you want a sort of slightly more comprehensive take on it, then wait until Gareth Preston does it on Your Very British Features. I don't think
Yeah.
he has, but it's right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah,
right?
he'll do it with less smutty jokes and
Probably more facts.
less
and-
comedy.
Yeah,
and,
come on, Gareth. Don't have us on that episode.
It'll be like we're a Mars bar fun size. He's a water biscuit.
What?
So yeah.
You're not a water biscuit. You've
Yeah.
got chocolate digestive at the
No,
very least. You're talking about the podcast rather than the person now.
No. Sorry. I love you, Gareth.
That's why there's so many water biscuits in your shed.
But yeah, I mean, Gareth's more like, you know, a sort of Oxford Don, and we're...
Started out as a compliment.
Yeah, I should shut
I
up.
compared him to one of the most boring biscuits in there.
Gareth,
There's definitely some caramel in there. A Twix or something with.
Gareth will be fucking suing me.
Which biscuit am I? Our new section. If you'd like to be compared to a confectionery biscuit, then please write to randomiser@gmail.com.
Oh my god.
I think we keep on these random minutes.
This is the one where we have fucking just gone completely...
We never had it in the past.
This is
but
our
now we've lost it.
anniversary special.
Oh my good god, yeah, it's self-indulgent. So, moving on then, I have the TARDIS Money Box of Delights, so I'll give it the obligatory rattle.
Oh,
I have in my hand a piece of paper.
peace in our time.
Nope, Jekyll in Our Time.
Oh.
Yeah, I've not seen that. I'm not a big fan of Stephen, what's his name? What is his name?
Moffat.
No, but it is Stephen Moffat. What's the lead guy called?
James Nesbitt.
Yeah, Stephen James Nesbitt, that guy.
Oh, right.
I'm
yeah.
so much of a fan I don't know his name. But it's Moffat, so of course it'll be quite interesting and clever, I'm sure. Which biscuit is Stephen Moffat? Moving on.
Could it have been affected by tangential deviation coming out of the warp ellipse?
What's happening? You're becoming one of us. Who's us? The Tomorrow People. The Tomorrow People.
It is tangent time. We have been watching The Tomorrow People, and we've managed 2 stories in the last 7 months, which is not bad going given the quality of the first of those 2. But we watched Into the Unknown and then The Dirtiest Business. So Into the Unknown, it started with awful humour as Mike tries to write a pop hit with Tim's help. I was literally begging for someone to invade the bloody earth and stop that.
I think everybody wants.
Oh man, what rhymes with? I can't even remember. When the crisis emerged, it was alright for a bit, but then it just got dull. I mean, by the end, I was longing for them to get back to the terrible songwriting scene.
It's it's really not that great a story. I mean, it basically there'd probably be better sticking to the songwriting because
what rhymes with stultifying?
What rhymes with tomorrow?
At least
sorrow.
At least Man Friendly wasn't boring.
Yeah,
for all its flaws, I was not bored.
You could never be bored during that.
Mostly
You could be horrified, but not bored.
Wonder where your bottom jaw went to.
But this, some ship, they go through a sort of black hole.
Oh no, a space hole.
A space hole.
They go through a space hole and continually talk out of their space hole.
Yeah, and basically they just keep falling. It's like a loop.
Yeah,
and
everyone just
that's basically all that fucking happens.
Everybody just kept reiterating everything that happened. It was better than no one getting any lines, I suppose. But I mean, they should have called it Into the Thesaurus, as most of the dialogue was just characters paraphrasing what the last person said. It was so tedious, boring, uninteresting, dull, lackluster, soporific.
Very dull, and I would say if you're watching Tomorrow People, do yourself a favour and skip this one.
Do you remember when they rule out that it's a black hole? But on the grounds that this is too boring to be a black hole.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Portable Tim was invented. That was quite fun.
Oh, yeah.
But then promptly smashed, so no more Portable Tim. We barely knew him.
Yep.
And Jeffrey Belden wasted.
Absolutely wasted.
The young alien, who's sort of the counterpoint to Belden, is Stephen Garlick, who played Ibbotson in Modern Undead. But I've sort of worked out he must have only been cast in Modern Undead because of his surname. I was glad they brought Elizabeth along for the Pointless Journey, as if she was going to be left at base, but that fate was reserved for Tyso.
Oh god, yeah.
Poor old Tyso.
Poor Tyso.
I mean, it's, honestly, I've tried to be fair to Tomorrow People, but this one was really bad.
No, this one's absolute fucking crap. I mean, the beauty of Tomorrow People is that you watch it and the episodes are usually pretty terrible. You get really good ones, but you get a lot of terrible ones. But the saving grace is that they are fucking hilarious because you usually have traffic wardens doing fucking slapstick or there's something cheesy and corny going on which gives it the enjoyment factor. But
we watched the next one, and that was a much better by contrast.
Much
it was
better.
Called The Dirtiest Business. It was another step into spy fiction. So that was the dirty business. So the SAS can now break into the Tomorrow People's HQ by playing nasty sounds. And they all sort of clutch their ears. I think it was the soundtrack to the previous episode they were playing. But it's not bad. It's awful but short.
Concept album that Jodie Whittaker came up with.
I mean, it was Mike's pop song that he used. It's like it's maybe back to the drawing board there. None of that there, fortunately. No. But yeah, even our DVD players tried to stop us watching this one.
Yeah, I
seizing
had
up
massive problems.
Yeah, mine too.
For some reason.
Something came up about
I mean,
for
maybe
your sanity we refused to play this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe the DVD player was sort of, holding up a white flag going,
it's like you made me watch Into the Unknown.
No, I'm not allowing you to do this.
I like this idea that DVD players can have opinions about what you play on them. It's very Douglas Adams with the Electric Monk. Yeah. But no, it's not bad, but the highlight for me was the accent of the main villain, who's a KGB thug. Now, apparently the actor's Polish, but it did sound to me a lot more like the KGB had inexplicably hired an Italian.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
Where did you get this coat?
What coat?
This coat. Where did you get it?
A girl give it me.
When?
A couple of hours ago.
Where? Where did it happen?
Why are you asking all these questions? You the police or something?
Never mind who you are, Sonny. If you don't want your neck broken, just answer the question.
And his accent kept sort of drifting a little bit as well.
God, it was like out at sea on a raft with no Russians left. There's a young Russian psychic who does a runner as they drive her through central London and then makes friends with Mike. And the actor is Anulka Dubinska, I think it's pronounced, played Pavla. And she'd been a model and was famous for being in the saucy vampire film, so she was quite kind of...
Oh, what?
I can't remember. So she's the kind of guest star, and there's also Vivian Hellbron, who I looked up and didn't appear in any more, which I was sort of disappointed by. She's the kind of lead of British intelligence. But Stephen and Tyso, they're just gone. They're not even sent to the country or
this is the thing. Stephen, I honestly think that's it for Stephen. I don't think we see him again.
And that's... I mean, Tyso kind of... but Stephen was like founding Tomorrow Person.
Yeah, that's why I think he was pissed off a little by the whole thing.
Yeah,
if you actually have ever bought the DVD box set, Oh yeah, you bought it. The actor that plays Stephen, he's very vocal about a lot of the things. They are great commentaries, don't get me wrong, very funny.
And you watch them with a picture off.
Yes. But the good thing is that he is on all the commentaries up until the end of the entire series.
Oh god, I've Stockholm Syndrome enough that I'll probably watch one or two.
Oh, they're great.
I got to watch
honestly.
The Man from Emily commentary. Did we start that? I definitely wanted to watch
I think I let you hear all, because Peter Davison does.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is he's a great sport on that.
You'd have to be.
He'd have to be.
But yeah, so episode 2, Pavla goes to a broadcaster to try to send a radio message to her parents at home in Russia. But literally everyone at this broadcaster almost is a KGB spy. And
sounds like the BBC.
They have to. Well, I think this might be ITV anti-BBC propaganda here. It's like lefties at the BBC.
Was anybody called Kim?
But they have to lampshade this in the programme later. It's like, gosh, that's a coincidence to have lots of... It's really funny. And then, I love this bit as well, Pavel is now handcuffed in the Russian embassy under the watchful snooze of the sleepiest looking guard in TV history. Actually, once tomorrow people arrive and hit him with a stun guns, he looks slightly more awake.
It's funny, isn't it? Even when they've got like a reasonably good premise for an episode, they just can't help having fucking comedy villains.
It's a non-speaking part, bless him.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
non-blinking
people
part.
slipping on banana skins or something.
Well, there's some thrilling traffic light footage before actually half decent car chase, which is fair enough. And then Pavel is injured by some well-placed cardboard boxes, as you have to have in a car chase.
Well, obviously.
Done a switch, and they take her not to hospital, but to the SIS instead, and they've hooked her up to a mind probe.
Not the mind probe!
Well, not literally the mind probe, but in an attempt to save her from it, Mike naively tries to reason with the Russian spy master, and turns out he's got a kill switch. And then this leads... I'm doing all of this plot summary because this leads to a truly extraordinary ending, where Pavel leaps out of a window and explodes at the same time. It's kind of good and insane all at once. I loved that. It was absolutely brilliant ending. But yeah, I mean the episode titles are Spy is Born and A Spy Dies, which is a bit of a spoiler. But I like how they're making sequential link use to the titles, as in like One Law. So we can expect episodes called Jack and Jill and Went Up the Hill and what did they
Remember.
Oh God, not again. It's quite good fun and mercifully short and the best bad accent I've ever heard in the programme, I think.
I'll give it time, I'm sure there are more.
Oh well, there's further dips to the plum. We've yet to hit the epic recap as well, I think.
I'm starting to wonder if I imagine that.
No. Oh, you have written a check, you better cash, my friend. You're going to have to go out and film a new episode. I will be so disappointed if I don't have to sit through a 17-minute recap.
I'll play you the previous episode.
Yeah, thank you. We will watch more tomorrow, people, because it's too late to stop now.
It's the end. But the moment has been prepared for.
9 times out of 10.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to get in touch, or if you'd just like revenge on the BBC, we can be reached by email. We can be reached by email at randomiserpodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to us on YouTube now while watching trippy visuals at tinyurl.com/randomiser YouTube.
Didn't we get feedback about that?
No. Oh, yes, we did. Sorry, it's just it wasn't from anyone important, so I can. It was from you.
Yeah.
So we had some. Just some of the visuals made him sick. So there we go. You can also follow us on Mastodon at randomiserpod@mastodon.social.
Is anybody on Mastodon?
Yeah, there's still 1 or 2 people.
One or two.
And in all cases, this is your bit now.
Oh right. Yeah, that's Randomiser with an S, not a Z.
After you with that milking stool.
You need to put a firework in there.
Oh, Bob, I've got plenty of recordings too. I heard this is Keith McCulloch's new version of the theme. Oh, fireworks.
You could put these bangs in the opportune moment, you know, dum dum dum.
Yeah, rim shots. Okay, I always thought that was something filthy, and then I realised it was that ching. That's a rim shot.
Oh, shut up!
That's honestly.
I know, I get it, but you're the one that's bringing the podcast down now.
Well, you know,
my work here is done.
Yeah, it's like you thought you'd resent me taking that job away from you. So
imagine.
Anyway.
and they had a few in black and white. So it's sort of, and I think
that was 5 rounds wrap. We'd love to put a note up saying, please don't listen to Randomiser podcast with your pets.
Yeah.
You really should have beans for tea.
I'm in the middle of my flow and then some bastard lets off.
That sounds like the public toilet story. Oh my god, we finished it.
Jesus Christ, it's over. Oh fuck.
We don't have to do another one for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, shit. We'll need to fucking ramp up the pace.
Well, or ramp down the bullshit.